Hey guys, Drummer here. Just gonna come to you guys with a deck tutorial profile. Um, the biggest problem I see a lot of times with people asking for help on decks, whether they're making YouTube videos saying, "Hey, what do you guys think? Let me know," or whether you're taking a screenshot off Dual Network and posting it to a Facebook group you're on, or something of those sorts, is if your deck doesn't have flow in the way you present it, it's going to be a lot harder for people to understand where you're coming from with your choices. So with that being said, I'm going to go through my deck profile again. Um, if you've seen any of my other videos, you may catch on to the fact that the way I present my deck is almost identical every time. Um, and this is the reasoning behind why I do that. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how this works real quick. You guys know I play Heroes, a stun hero variant, so um, being that it's a hero deck, the first thing I'm going to present is, regardless of hero, you want to start with what your main engine of the deck is. My main engine of the deck is Heroes. Now for me, that's just going to be my 3 Alias and Stratos. I'm starting off with Stratos because he's a searcher. He gets my aliases to hand, he's a deck thin, he can be a +1. He's that keystone piece that gets my engine running. Following him, I'm going to go ahead and present the rest of that engine, which in this case is going to be my 3 aliases. Now, in a hero deck like this, for example, attribute does play a big portion in the way the deck works. So I'm going to continue with this light attribute. I'm going to go off and I'm going to show my Thunder Kings and my Warrior Lady and my Honest. So what I've essentially done here is I started off with a cornerstone or keystone piece of my main engine, then presented that engine, and then followed with the theme that fit that engine, which in this part of the deck would be my light monsters. Following up, that's going to be sort of the chaos portion of the deck, which is my Doomcow, my Breaker, and my Kaiku. These are sort of those other tech monsters or tech monster cards that you're going to play in your main lineup that do serve a purpose, but they're past your main engine and ideal. The next things you're going to want to show are your hand trap supports, which in my case are going to be a double Veiler and a Crow. Following the hand trap ideal, the next thing you're going to want to come to starting to finish up your monster lineup is cards like Gores or Tragodia. And then the final monsters you're going to want to show in your deck list are your boss monsters. It's sort of like reading a book. As the book, it's going to build up, it's going to climax at one point, and then at the end of the book, it's going to complete your story. Well, the end of the monster lineup is completing that story of what boss monsters you're going to. Now, this deck obviously doesn't play Dad. I'm just using Dad as an example. This deck, it would be an Envoy. I just don't have one on me right now. But that's the idea behind the order of how you should present a monster lineup. On to spells, the first thing you want to play are your cards that are going to help you filter through the deck. So first up here is going to be Triple Duality. Because Triple Duality here is helping you filter through the entirety of your deck. It's helping you find monsters, it's helping you find spells, it's helping you find traps. Following up your generalized overall deck searching capability is your more specific cards. For me, that's going to be Rhoda and Ecall. In a plant deck, it could be something like 1 for 1 or something like that. Now, for this deck specifically, since I am playing the Gemini engine, following up these 2 specific search cards that are going to pull those aliases to my hands, I'm going to show cards that deal with what these are pulling. Being that these are pulling my aliases, I'm going to go to what my alias support is, which in this case is going to be my 2 Gemini Sparks. Now, these 2 Sparks are sort of starting the middle of your spell lineup. You're going to start your spell lineup off with your searchers, then you're going to do more or less your tech spells, and then you're going to finish up with your staple spells. So my first 2 tech spells would be my Sparks. And then my next 3 would be my Miracle Fusions. All the while, of course, you can be explaining why you're only choosing to play a certain number of any card. Like, why do I only play 2 Sparks? Or why did I only play 2 Thunder Kings? Then you're going to go into your staples, which would be like your MSTs, Heavy, Book, Mind Control, Dark Hole, and Reborn. Onto your traps. Typically, you want to start off with the Solemn Brigade. Assuming you're playing a full trap lineup, these should be your first 3. Solemn into Double Warning. Because these are your field control, monster control, just typical control. The next spells next traps you're going to show are sort of your control, more simplified field control, which would be like your Compulse here in this case. and then double D prison. Before Compulsion D prison, here could be, this is where you would show, say, bottomlesses or torrentials or something like that, which are controlling your opponent's monster field. And then following that up with your less specific monster field control, which would be like your Compulse, your D prisons, your massive monster control like Mirror Force. And then your final one is going to be your tech traps, which in this case is, for me, is only going to be Dust Shoot. It could be things like Mind Crushes, or I saw people topping with Zing Zang Hu. I believe that was over at Brighton just this last weekend, or Mind Crushes. Just those last tech traps that you decide to run. Your side deck doesn't necessarily have to have an order other than just monster spells, traps. So, you would go through and explain why you're playing any specific cards you were, like, why am I playing my third Thunder King, second Doom Cow, a Cyber Dragon, extra Crows, Fossil Dynas. Go into my spells and why I play them, like the Super Polys and the Leechings. And then finally my traps, which would be, in this case, Bottomlesses and Chain Disses. Everything is still in a very easily followable order. Onto your extra deck, the order that you do these doesn't really matter. Whether you want to do synchros or fusions or exceeds first, second, third, that order doesn't matter. What does matter is you want to sort of present them in a fashion that matches up with the amount that they're used. So, of course, like my main one is going to be my Shining, so I'm going to present them first. Then you would do like your Zeros, your Nova Masters, then sort of my tech fusions, just the one Tornado, the one Gaia, and a one Chimera tech. When it comes to synchros, you sort of got to do low to high or high to low. Just shuffling them around and presenting them in whatever order they're in really gets you nowhere. So I go Catastor is a 5, Bryos is 6, Black Rose is a 7, Scrap and Stardust is 8, and then I finish it off with my only Exceed, which is Utopia. Anyways, you guys might laugh, call this video sort of a troll or a little bit of a rage video, whatever you might want to call it, but I really hope you guys took something from it. If you can present your deck in a fashion that's going to let people understand the way the deck works, what your main engines are, what you're trying to focus on versus what is just tech cards within the main board, and things like that, is really going to help you both understand your own deck and how it works and how you're trying to get it to work. And that's something that any good player that is helping you with your deck list is going to pick up on a lot easier, so long as that deck is in a recognizable order like that. So with that said, I will see you guys later.